If there is one video game on this planet, at least from the first-person shooter side of gaming, that can really rejuvenate the level of hype and excitement that gamers can have in this genre, it would be the game that we are going to talk about today in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, that game is Titanfall 3. Now, for context, obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, but this game doesn't actually officially exist. The premise of this video is only to discuss the idea of what would happen and what could happen if the game was announced tomorrow, or in a month, or a year from now to the public. The Titanfall franchise has spawned 2 games with the exception of a third in Apex Legends, which is connected to the Titanfall universe but not by name, but only as a Battle Royale variant of a Titanfall universe kind of video game. I have played all 3 of these games, and all 3 have varied in their levels of fun and enjoyment, to the point where I would not be making a video like this one today if I hadn't played either of those 3 games. So with that level of experience in mind, knowing my side of the story, I feel I am fully qualified to say that if Titanfall 3 were ever announced, I really do believe that it would wake people up who are used to playing first-person shooter video games, whether or not they are someone who has played this franchise. The Titanfall games have been known to be some of the most underrated and fun first-person shooter games that have ever been made. The first one to this day, I think, in my personal opinion, is the most underrated first-person shooter video game ever made that doesn't get talked about enough. That is not to take away from the game itself, I just don't think enough people nowadays look back on that game as really truly defining an age of gaming that was just so fun for many people. That game came out when I was a high schooler back in 2014, and to this day, I remember putting a lot of hours into it. 2014 was also arguably maybe one of the best years of modern gaming we've ever had, to the point where I can understand why a game like this at the time was probably overshadowed. The list of games that came out that year is so insane that I bet a lot of people probably don't even remember most of them being as recent as they are. You had games like Dragon Age Inquisition, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, Far Cry 4, which is one of my personal favorites, Dark Souls 2, Bayonetta 2, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Halo the Master Chief Collection, all of the games combined into one, Alien Isolation, Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo, Wolfenstein: The New Order, the original Destiny game, Hearthstone, Infamous Second Son, Diablo 3, Mario Kart 8, The Evil Within, Forza Horizon 2, a new Metal Gear Solid game, a new Assassin's Creed game, a new Borderlands game, FIFA 15, Smite, The Last of Us Remastered, the first Watch Dogs game, a new Metro game, and for the hell of it, even a new World of Warcraft expansion to add into all of that. I mean, holy shit, man. That is such a ridiculous list of games, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if there was one that I completely left off that I just don't know about when doing some research for this video. I legit did not even remember that some of those games came out that year. And in fairness to myself, I wasn't completely online and on social media and YouTube to know about a lot of these games at the time. But I know for a fact that I spent 2014 playing games like Titanfall, Far Cry 4, the original Destiny, and Advanced Warfare. Those were probably my 4 most played of that year, and the only ones that I played. So again, I completely understand why some just completely left that one off their minds because of just how much we got that year. It is only in the years after where Titanfall 1, even Titanfall 2 for that matter, created a cultural zeitgeist for just how fun those games were after they came out, bringing back old players and introducing itself to new ones. For a game like Titanfall 2, it was very different for myself. I did not get the game on release, since at that time, I think I was more preoccupied playing the previous year's Call of Duty game in Black Ops 3, as well as a game like Battlefield 1, which is one of my favorite games of all time. 2016 also had its fair share of games, which you can look up to see which ones came out that year, but at the time, I had missed this one, and so it took me almost 5 years to just play Titanfall 2, and so we are here now. When I started playing Titanfall 2 in 2021, it rekindled my love for this franchise that I knew I missed from the years past when I played the original. To an extent, Apex Legends had done the same thing for me when that game came out, but it wasn't to the level that a game like Titanfall 2 did for me. Titanfall 2 is practically in some cases the same exact game as the first Titanfall, although there are a few different things that they did with which to some degree heightened the level of fun that you could have with it. The game also came out with a campaign campaign, but it was much lesser than the multiplayer component, which was the main focus. The second game went away from that and put a good level of focus and attention on both sides, campaign and multiplayer, which in the end I think for me garnered for a game that I think is actually better than the original. I loved the campaign of Titanfall 2 and I love the multiplayer. I think both are just some of the most fun I have ever had playing a first-person shooter game. It is definitely up there with games like Battlefield 1 and Black Ops 3, as I've mentioned already, which are three of my favorite games in all of those FPS franchises. But of course, the main question that we have to be asking here is, what would and could happen if tomorrow we wake up in our news feeds we see the breaking story that Titanfall 3 is officially being announced to be made by Respawn Entertainment? I can tell you right now the amount of excitement that you will see on the timeline will be insanity. You have a franchise that so many people love dearly, and I think you'll see that same amount of love showcased for the hype. I know in recent years with certain rumors that have come out that it seems like that announcement is dead in the water, but I am only here to just justify and speak hypothetically to what would happen. I'm not literally saying that we will get an announcement that this game ever will come to fruition. Although I do wish that wasn't the case, but I do think that it is out of my love and passion for this universe and franchise that making this video hopefully will get not just more people to want to come back and play the Titanfall games, but maybe we can even try to garner a push to Respawn Entertainment to want to make a third game. And listen, I know some people will probably hear what I'm saying and think that I'm totally crazy for even trying to conceive of the thought of this ever happening, but I'm somebody who's not going to give up on a dream. I know Respawn will probably not see this video, but hey, listen, if they do, please, for the love of God, reconsider making this game. I mean, seriously, you could not possibly think of a more cooler and fun concept for a first-person shooter than this one. It's giant robots shooting and punching and fighting each other, along with so many other different things that happen in the battles that just create for so much chaos, and again, one of the most fun experiences that you could ever ask for in a video game. I mean, just look at this gameplay in the background. It's basically speaking for itself. And that right there, I think, is the number one word we should be using throughout this entire discussion, which is the word fun. I want a video game again to really bring me in and never let me go because of just how fun it is to play. Nowadays, with gaming, I feel like you are seeing too many games either be made for the wrong reasons because of some level of ambition to want to push for a competitive nature of certain gamers, or you'll see games just be made out of a greedy and corporatized need to want to focus more on the money than the gameplay itself. And no, for the record, before anyone out there says it, I don't think politics has anything to say in these discussions. I've been playing video games for a long time now to where I'll know if something like that is going to be there. I feel too many people use that as an excuse to justify something they want to complain about nowadays and don't actually want to look at the real problems at hand. The video game industry, maybe more than anything in entertainment right now, is mainly being tainted by greed and monetization practices that go first before the creative visions of the developers. And to be clear, I'm not saying that is what is happening with a company like Respawn Entertainment with how they are handling Titanfall and Apex Legends. I just think that they need to know what people want to play, and right now, I think a game like Titanfall 3 is what that video game is that people want to see. Since Apex Legends is the current game that they are working on right now, I think it is pretty fair to say that the game is losing a lot of steam at the moment, not just because it's a battle royale, but because I think a lot of people would like to see something different from this world. I really enjoyed playing this game when it first came out, and over time, just like how any other battle royale goes nowadays, I completely phased out of it because I was simply not playing the game enough to where I could be on the level of others who treated the game like it was a $1 million tournament every time they got into a lobby. I'm also just not a very good battle royale player in general anyway, so that would be a dig on myself as well. Titanfall 2, as it currently stands, is also not getting any support at all. They've completely left it to be where the game is having many server issues and sometimes will be corrupted by hackers. Thankfully for me, I haven't come across too many issues when playing it in recent years, and the North Star client has given a lot of people an ability to play the game freely without any problems. At the end of the day, the point of this whole video was simply to communicate the idea that if it were ever announced, I do believe that Titanfall 3 could really bring a lot of gamers back to just wanting to have fun when playing video games again, specifically anyway when it comes to first-person shooter games. I'm not saying it would take over the world of gaming like a game like Fortnite did so many years ago, but I am saying that at least from a first-person perspective, you are going to get a lot of people to want to come over and play. I know a game like a Battlefield 2042, for example, was hailed and regarded as potentially being that video game in the first-person shooter space a couple of years ago, and I'll admit I was one of those people. But obviously, that was a complete opposite of what happened due to some of the things that I've already mentioned in this video that are components of modern gaming and its faults. I think if Titanfall 3 came out in a perfectly finished state, with no bugs, glitches, or server issues, and had every piece of content that it needed to have on release, you are going to see a lot of people be very happy and playing it a lot. Couple that in with some good DLC decisions to come along with it, and good developer support and communication, I promise you, you will have a great video game on your hands. Overall though, I think I have said my piece for this video, and maybe down the line in the future, again, if the game ever does get announced, I will happily make a follow-up video to this one and talk about what I expect to see. This franchise and these games are near and dear to my heart and my childhood memories of which I am never going to forget, and hopefully maybe one day I can relive them again. I will end off by saying this. If Respawn Entertainment takes the leap to make this game kind of like how the Titans of the Titanfall universe take the leap out of their ships and drop down into the world that we play in for us as pilots to get our hands on, you are not only going to make me happy, but you are going to make so many other gamers happy as well. And at the end of the day, that is what matters the most. So I hope you all enjoy this video. If you did, please be sure to drop a like on the video, and also please comment down below your thoughts on what I had to say and your thoughts on a Titanfall 3 and what you would like to see if it did ever get announced. Finally, please subscribe to my channel if you are new here and you would like to see more content from me. I hope everyone here has a wonderful day and a fantastic weekend, and to my fellow pilots out there who might still be playing Titanfall, keep having fun, and I will see you out there on the battlefield. This is Orion, signing out.